Well, let's go to ABC News contributor, former FBI agent Brad Garrett, to join us now for some insight onto this unusual domestic terror threat. Brad, so what keeps you up about these guys, about these fringe conspiracy theories? What's your biggest concern?
That some of them might become violent, and in fact have in the past, Terry. I mean, anybody that's attracted to sort of what you and I might define as extremist thinking, in other words, locking onto things like there's this cabal made up of Democrats, of movie stars, people like President Clinton, Hillary Clinton, etc., are part of this huge sex trafficking ring. And that he would go, well, that's just crazy. But they lock onto it because in their mind, it gives them sort of a tangible end game. In other words, you get rid of this cabal, which obviously doesn't exist, but if you get rid of it, then life would be better. So it's all of that that drives these folks. But in that group, there are still going to be people who think they're going to have to go the extra mile. In other words, commit some sort of violence and harm somebody. And that's, I think, law enforcement's biggest concern in reference to QAnon.
Well, why now, Brad? Why do you think now? Look, there have always been people stressed by life and frustrated by politics. Why this crazy stuff now?
Because over the last 4 years, one of sort of President Trump's mantras is fear. Fear, if you don't do it my way, things are going to fall apart. And he convinced this group, this loosely knitted group of QAnon followers, that he was their savior, that he was the one, and they obviously made a lot of this up, but in their mind he was encouraging them, that this cabal had to be gotten rid of, and that he was the guy that was going to do it. And so what happened is when he didn't get reelected, and of course he promoting that it was a fraud, they jumped into that and said, we've got to do something about his election, but we have to do anything we can to keep him in power because he'll get rid of this cabal and life will be much better.
So what can authorities do to deal with this kind of thing, to deal with this group and prevent more violence?
So you have the problem, like you do with any of these groups, Terry, of the First Amendment. We like the First Amendment. It's going to stay, of course. So people can say any hateful thing they want. It's when they take action, when they start planning things. This goes to any group, of course, whether it's a militia, whether it's some version of Timothy McVeigh. It doesn't really matter. You can say whatever. But as those steps build that you're going to go harm somebody, harm an event, harm a building, whatever it might be, then law enforcement can step in. Of course, the problem is, will law enforcement know that? Will they be there as you were planning this? And of course, the answer is sometimes yes, sometimes not. Just like tracking school shooters, mass shooters, etc. If you can't get in front of them, chances are you're not going to stop them.
It sounds a little bit to me like some of the extremist jihadist violence that occurred in this country and many, many other countries. How do you get people back from down the rabbit hole, believing, buying into, and perhaps acting on that kind of stuff?
I will tell you, it does no good to try to rationally have conversations with them. If you look at this, Terry, from the model of a cult, go to a Jim Jones, David Koresh, etc., obviously a different format as far as what they're focused on, but people leave groups because they become disillusioned. Ashley, you just had on recently, a few minutes ago, is a great example of she became disillusioned when she saw that the world did not fall apart when President Biden became president. So you have to get people to that point. Now, that's really difficult because you have the internet spewing out all of this stuff that's not true all day long. People want a community, and that's why they go to places like QAnon. They lock onto QAnon because it gives them a social setting, much like traditionally people go to church or go to some other setting where they can talk to people that are like-minded. And so it is extremely, today, a difficult thing to put the brakes on this. I don't see this anger or rage slowing down in the near future.
Let's bring back bowling leagues. It sounds like something like that, right? That kind of solidarity that we need. Brad Garrett, thanks very much for that insight.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.